My father looked me in the eye 2 months before my wedding and said, "Take a DNA test. I'm not walking you down the aisle unless I know you're mine." I was 31 years old, and for the first time in my life, I said yes. But when the results came back, they didn't just destroy him. They destroyed all of us. If you've ever been doubted, rejected, or made to feel like you didn't belong in your own family, this story is going to hit hard. Subscribe for more real, emotionally charged stories that prove karma does keep receipts. Now, let's get into it. My name is Alara Whitman. I'm 31 years old, and for 28 of those years, my father called me the affair child. Not to my face when I was little. No, that would have been too honest. Instead, it was little comments. "You're too pretty to be mine. No one else in this family has those eyes. Your mother always did like attention." At family dinners, it became a ritual. He'd sip his iced tea, lean back in his chair, and look at me like I was evidence in a trial. I learned early how to shrink, how to smile without showing teeth, how to laugh without being loud, how to sit still so I wouldn't attract suspicion. My mother, Diane, would always stiffen when he started. She never yelled back. She just gripped her fork tighter, and I would watch her, because the accusation wasn't just about me. It was about her. I grew up believing I was the crack in their marriage. By the time I was 14, he stopped pretending. One night after I won a regional debate competition, I walked in the door holding the trophy. He didn't congratulate me. He just said, "Intelligence like that doesn't run in my bloodline." I remember the heat rising in my ears. The room felt too small. My mom told him to stop. He didn't. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. No one else was thinking it. He just needed me to feel unwanted. And the worst part? Part of me wondered if he was right. Because when someone repeats something for 2 decades, it starts to stick to your bones. The breaking point. Fast forward to when I was 30. I was engaged to a man named Caleb. Steady. Kind. The kind of man who listens fully before speaking. We were planning our wedding. Small vineyard ceremony. Warm lights. Close friends. That's when my father made his demand. We were sitting in his living room. Same recliner. Same iced tea. I won't walk you down the aisle unless you take a DNA test. My mother's face went white. Caleb squeezed my hand under the table. I felt something inside me go very still. Not angry. Just done. "I'll take it," I said calmly. My dad smirked, like he'd finally cornered me. But I wasn't doing it for him. I was doing it for my mother, because I had watched her endure 28 years of quiet humiliation, and I was finished letting him poison her with doubt. The test. The day the results came in, we were all in the kitchen. My hands were cold. My father looked almost eager, like he was about to win something. I opened the envelope. I read it once, then twice. Then I felt the air leave my lungs. Probability of paternity, 0%. Silence. My father stood up so fast his chair scraped the tile. "I knew it," he said, but I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at my mother, because her face didn't show guilt. It showed confusion. "I never," she whispered. "I never cheated." Her voice broke in a way I'd never heard before. And that's when something shifted. Because if she wasn't lying, then what was this? The second shock. Caleb, being the rational one, said, "Let's test you too, Diane, just to rule everything out." My father laughed. "Now, that's ridiculous." But we did it anyway. 2 weeks later, the second envelope arrived. I opened it, and the world tilted. Probability of maternity, 0%. I wasn't my father's daughter, but I also wasn't my mother's. The room went silent in a way that felt physical, like the walls had stepped back. My dad looked confused now. My mom started crying. And suddenly, the villain of my life wasn't just my father. It was something much bigger. The investigation. I was born at Green Ridge County Hospital, 31 years ago. Small town. Understaffed maternity ward. Paper records. We requested files. There had been another baby girl born the same night. Similar weight. Similar hair. Similar blankets. There had been a nurse reprimanded that year for documentation errors. 2 families. 2 newborn girls. One mistake. We weren't just dealing with infidelity accusations. We were dealing with a hospital swap. Emotional fallout. My father tried to regain control. This doesn't change anything, he said. She's still not mine. But for the first time in my life, his words didn't pierce. Because his 28-year narrative had collapsed. He hadn't been a betrayed husband. He'd been a man who tormented a child over a suspicion that wasn't even rooted in reality. He wasn't the victim. He was the architect of emotional damage. And he knew it. I saw it in his eyes. Fear, not of losing me, but of losing the moral high ground he'd clung to for decades. The real revenge. Here's the part that makes this story different. I didn't scream. I didn't slap him. I didn't storm out. I simply told him, "You spent 28 years calling me illegitimate, but you were wrong about everything, and I won't let you rewrite this now." Then I turned to my mother, and I said, "You deserve better." Because she did. We pursued legal action against the hospital. Not for money. For accountability. The case gained media attention. Medical negligence. Infant identity errors. My father hated the attention. Because now people were asking questions. Like why he treated a child that way. Why he made family dinners feel like interrogations. The community that once saw him as a stern but honorable man began to see cracks. His reputation mattered to him more than relationships ever did. And watching that image crumble, that was the real justice. Wedding day. On my wedding day, I didn't ask him to walk me down the aisle. I walked alone, head high, not because I didn't belong, but because I finally understood something. Belonging isn't granted by blood. It's earned through love. My mother sat in the front row, crying softly. My father was there too, but for once he was quiet. No accusations, no smug comments, just a man forced to sit with the consequences of 28 years of cruelty. The ultimate revenge wasn't exposing him. It was stripping him of his narrative. He spent decades convinced he was the wronged husband, the righteous skeptic, the man who knew. But he was wrong. Painfully, publicly, undeniably wrong. And he has to live with that. Every family gathering, every memory, every time he looks at me, he doesn't see suspicion anymore. He sees proof of his own failure. And I feel free for the first time in my life. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about revealing the truth so clearly that they can't hide from it anymore. And sometimes the biggest lie isn't about who your parents are. It's about who gets to decide your worth. If this story hit you, leave a like and tell me in the comments. What would you have done in her place? And subscribe for more real stories where justice doesn't just whisper, it speaks loud enough for everyone to hear.